Okay, so this one's an interesting one because I haven't really been able to find a clear consensus of whether this is an EP or full length album. I want to err on the side of saying that this is an EP because that seems to be the more consistent kind of response of this. Prog Archives puts it as an EP, but Spotify puts it as a full length album. So I guess you use your own discretion.
Made me wonder, is there something it's gonna be? You rhyme and step.
Falling from A.C.T or A.C.T. I usually call it ACT, but I think A.C.T is also kind of fun. Anyway, A.C.T has been around a lot longer than I originally thought. Getting their start in like the mid 90s and taking like a pretty long hiatus between 2006 and 2014. Hailing from Sweden, being more of like that eclectic prog. I would say kind of like modern prog in that case, or I don't know. They're kind of a little bit hard to define. I really like their last epic from 2003 as well as Circus Pandemonium from 2014. I find like the rest of their albums are just kind of fine. Imaginary Friends from 2001 was all right. The thing that I really do enjoy about A.C.T is their blending of like the American prog from the 70s and some of the crossover prog that we had from the UK. Bands like, say, Styx or Boston or Kansas, or crossing the pond over to ELO or Supertramp, or, you know, that kind of fun prog that wasn't necessarily super duper complex, but had very distinct soundscapes, had very fun ebbs and flows. You know, there sometimes was a concept album behind them. There was a lot of bigger soundscapes. There was aspects that you can really like dig your teeth into. I don't know. I haven't really seen like a really big project from them since Circus Pandemonium from 2014. The rest have been like these smaller bite-sized chunks from these kind of like EPs. Getting the first in 2019 with Rebirth, then kind of being the response to that with Heatwave, and now kind of with Falling. So I've read somewhere that these kind of three albums provide a narrative. They provide a little bit of a story arc, and Falling being this kind of ending chapter in some cases. I don't know if it's the finalized version that we're going to get, but being like the Falling being like is some kind of a meteorite or some kind of like a large structure coming to destroy things, you know, and kind of the concept behind that being the fleeting mortality of everything, being the fleeting mortality of life, of the earth, and that kind of stuff. And the thing that I really do appreciate about this album is, even though they're tackling some pretty heavy concepts and some pretty dark subject matter, they're approaching it with the optimism of it. You know, it's a very popular take right now, which is the nothing matters, so let's make things matter. You know, it's you can look at the concept that nothing matters and get depressed and kind of really fixate on the futility of it all, or you can use the last moments that you have to make something good, to really create something new. And I feel that with a lot of these tracks. You know, I feel that with a lot of these, the music that's found around it, some of the lyrics that are found around it as well. And I would like kind of the bigger soundscapes, kind of that bigger enthrallment that we have on a lot of these tracks. The album is fairly short. You know, we have 8 tracks across 30 minutes. And in some cases, you know, that is a full-length album. If you look at like Close to the Edge from Yes, is very similar in that it's very short. You know, it's just barely a half hour long. And so I like the fact that it's a very like bite-sized chunk. You know, it's here, it says what it needs to say, and then it leaves. I do wonder if we could have added like maybe one track that was maybe 10 minutes long, and we would have had the perfect runtime for an album. But what we got is really, really good. I think my favorite track on all this is the One Last Goodbye. You know, there's a lot of swelling emotions on this album. There's a lot of very high energy on this. It's reminding me of some of that big power ballads that we would get from the 80s without being completely melodramatic or completely full of cheese. There's still a lot of fun on it. It's still got a lot of really good energy found within it. And I also really like, the teeth, the drive that's on here. This album is a lot more metally than I think a lot of their other albums are. It's very deep and hard. You feel that with A Race Against Time and Digging a Hole. There's that powerhouse, there's that oomph on it. It's got that energy. But again, another track that I really do love is A Girl Without a Past, which is so bouncy. It's so bubbly. This is where I'm getting like some of those really fun moments that we would get from Supertramp or ELO. Just being bouncy and fun. Every year I put together a Happy Tunes playlist. And I would be shocked if I don't put on A Girl Without a Past, because it's just so bouncy, it's so fun, and it's this kind of like idea of possibility of having the whole world in front of you and not having to worry about the baggage that you've left behind, whether that's just through denial or whether that's just through not caring. You're shoving off your past and allowing that freedom to kind of dictate your movement forward. Really enjoy that. So yeah, overall, I really did find myself enjoying Falling from A.C.T. It's almost too short to be one that I would consider like a favorite, but it is just as enjoyable as The Last Epic, as Imaginary Friends, and as Circus Pandemonium. I would probably return to this a little bit more often than I would those other ones. But yeah, really enjoyed this one, had a lot of energy. I just wish that maybe they had one track that was maybe about 10 minutes just to round this off into a full-length album. But as it is, it's still a really enjoyable time. I would definitely say that Falling from A.C.T. is one that I would absolutely download. Yeah, this is a great entry point to the band as well. I think if you haven't listened to the band, give it a go without having to commit to a full-length album. It's only about a half hour long. You get a good sense of what's in store for you, and you're not investing a plethora of time, because prog can get pretty lengthy at times. So yeah, give it a spin. I highly recommend it. And that's it for me. That's it for me for Falling from A.C.T. What did you guys think about this album EP? Did you love it? Did you hate it? How does it compare to their other ones they've put out lately, like Heatwave and Rebirth? Let me know all about that by commenting down below. And that's all I've got for you guys today. That's all I've got. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.